Hi, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Communitips brought to you by Notary Stars. My name is Beth Hathout. My special guest today is Kim Flanagan. Kim has an intake form that she has developed that she'd like to share with us. She sells a number of products on her website, and she might tell you a little bit about that as well. But Kim, if you would please introduce yourself, tell us just a little bit about yourself, and then let's take a look at that fabulous intake form you have.
Well, thank you so much, Beth, for having me, and I'm really excited to share this with you. I've been a notary since 2018, and I'm in Southern California, and I've developed some intake forms that help me to feel more organized and more professional when I meet with people, and I came up with an intake form for general notary work or specialty notary work, and I worked with Laura Beaver so that it can help prompt us when we get phone calls from anybody that needs our services. It's laid out so it helps prompt us with some important questions that can help make the signing go more smoothly, and we can eliminate some potential issues up front. So I'd love to share that with you. I do have notary tools that I love working with, and they're on my website, notaryallies.com. That's notaryallies.com. And whenever you're ready, we can take a look at this specialty notary work form that I created.
Pulling it up. Yeah, exactly. While you're pulling that up, I just want to point out that every notary, whether you're doing general notary work or loan signings, you need to have the ability to collect data in one spot. It keeps your schedule for you, along with contact information and just exactly what you're supposed to be doing with that client. So having an intake form like this, particularly when you're doing general notary work, can be a really important component of putting your schedule together, because now you know what you're doing, where you're going, and who you're talking to.
Yeah, I love these. These actually, I made them in color on purpose so that they stand apart from other documents that you may have on your table or when you're meeting with a client. But they serve a few purposes. One, like you said, is to just have a handy piece of paper that has details about the appointment. So on the upper right-hand corner, I don't know if you can see this, but I have the appointment day that you circle, the appointment date and the time. And I put my invoice number that I do from Notary Gadget or Notary Assist and how much the actual charge is. That's just kind of a notation for me there. But what I find is when I use this, when somebody calls and we start filling this out, we don't have, this is just for you. So nobody else is going to see this, and you don't have to fill out every single line. But I find that when I'm prompted to ask these questions, it helps establish me as being different than the other notaries that they're calling. So typically they get a call and they'll say, oh, I have a power of attorney to sign. How much do you charge? Well, I pull up my form and I start asking them a little bit about it, and it automatically starts establishing me being a little different. Nobody else is asking them questions like this. So it kind of lets them know that you know what you're doing or that you know what you're talking about. So after we establish the date, time, and that sort of thing, we're talking about what the documents are. And you'll see I have a place here for your client. I put their name in there. And off to the right, I say the person who's ordering the service. It might be themselves. And you can see there's a section for the relationship to clients. So it might be themselves, or they might be calling for a relative, or it might even be a facility that's calling for one of their patients that's there. So on the right-hand side here, there's a box that has information that kind of prompts you through the call. So we want to know who they are in relationship to who's signing. And you can see here, now we're prompting for what the client's physical or mental condition is. That helps prepare us ahead of time. And asking if the client is currently under conservatorship, and if so, whose. So we can then ask, is there a power of attorney involved, or is this just going to be a straight signing? These are also things that you can note in your journal. I also go through, does your client speak and understand English? So we know whether we need to have an interpreter or not. Is the client conscious, alert, and aware? Is the client on medication that would make them appear otherwise? Can the client follow instructions? Is the client able to sign their name without help? Is there a time of day that is best for the client? We keep in mind whether they're on medication. Sometimes if they have like dementia or Alzheimer's, there might be times in the day where they're more with it. I know my mom had dementia, and there were some times where she was really good, and there's other times when she wasn't. So these kinds of things can help us along here. So is there a time of day that's best? Keeping meal times and medication times and shift changes in mind. Are there any other siblings or relatives who might have a beneficial interest in the transaction? So that would be like if somebody's doing a power of attorney or doing their trust signing, are there other siblings that are involved, and do they understand who you've selected as their agent? Does everybody agree, or are there any issues? And you can note things like that in your journal as well. There's also a little section at the bottom here for additional notes. And I've put a little thing here. This clearly is a sample with a watermark on it. And this is not the quality of the actual notepads that I have. So there's a little notation here. The quality is actually better in person. And there's a QR code that takes you right to the website where you can get more information about the forms and click to order them. But I'm going to swing back up here to the left side. So this is
Let me
more
make a quick comment here for you. That QR code on these forms is really kind of brilliant, because when I get down to my last few forms, I'm just using my phone. I'm clicking on that QR code. It takes me right into your website, and I can reorder right on the fly. I really like that. That's kind of brilliant. Thank you.
Yeah, you're very welcome. And I tried to ship 2-day, FedEx 2-day. So if you don't have a PO box, I can ship it regular mail. But if you have a regular address, I do use 2-day FedEx, so you get them pretty quickly. So up on the left here, this is basic information about your client. I have client 1 and 2, the appointment address in the city, and an area for the facility name, if they're in a facility, or out here in Palm Desert, Palm Springs area, we have a lot of gated communities. So I have a place to put the type of community. I have another notary that uses these a lot, and she uses this field for identifying the county because she's right on the border between Los Angeles and Ventura County, which of course has to be adapted when she does her notary certificates. So she uses that area to put her county in. But you can see there's some flexibility here. There's also an area for the gate code out here. Again, we have gated communities where we need a gate code, or if there's some special instructions, you might want to put a cross street or some kind of direction there. Then there's a box for the type of the type of documents to be notarized, and you can write those in there and check off if there's an apostille needed. I also review identification. This is something a lot of notaries don't go over with people when they're calling to set an appointment. And I find that people really appreciate it or notice the difference when you're asking them. You want to make sure that they have a non-expired valid ID, and we want to make sure that the ID supports the name as it appears on the document. So this form gives you an opportunity to review that. You might say, do you have that handy, or do you want me to call you back in a couple of minutes, or have them call you back? Usually they get it right then and there. And I'll have them read to me how their name appears on their ID. I write that down, and also how their name appears on the document. So we know right away, are we going to need to get credible witnesses? Do they need to redraft the document and change how the name appears? We can work things out before we get out there and are surprised that we might have an ID issue. Then I have a little box for, is the client in a facility? Yes or no. And does the facility require proof of a COVID vaccine? Are masks required? Are there any other requirements of the facility? Now, I understand that COVID's kind of behind us now, but we still might have some issues or something that we want to keep track of or note regarding that. There's also a section for times to avoid. Again, this is really important. If somebody's in a skilled nursing facility or a retirement home or anything like that, where they have some structure that they're working with, it's really important to know when their meal times are, when the shift changes are, when their medication times are. So that gives you another place to put that, and also a phone number for the facility in case you need it. And at the very bottom, there's an area where you can indicate what the dollar amount was that you quoted, so that there's no misunderstanding. Is there a travel inconvenience fee per notarized signature? Are there other fees? Are you doing a courier thing for them where you're going to be taking it to FedEx? Are you making copies? You know, are there any other things that you might be charging for? Or is it a flat fee, and you can indicate that there? So that's just a basic little overview of it. It's so handy. And Beth, I swear, I use them all the time. I keep a pad by every phone, and I keep a pad in my car. So if I need to pull off to the side, I can take down information there as well. And I just, they just come in so handy. I really hope that other notaries will understand the advantages to them and really get to use them too, because it just makes things flow so much smoother, and it really does help establish your credibility right from the get-go.
So this is really a good form to have. Every notary should have some type of intake form. If it's not this one, right? Some type of intake form that they can use. It's going to save them time upfront by gathering the information really that they should have at their fingertips, being able to kind of screen what they're doing with the potential signer up front, so that you don't waste time when you get there and find out, oh heck, we really can't do this today, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
And I just find that I have an expression: when you prepare, it shows you care. And I really see that in people's faces. If you pull something out like this, it's very professional, and you've taken the time to get to know what their needs are a little bit better.
Well, and that's the other thing I was going to mention, is that it makes you appear to be the actual professional that you are. You're not just a stamp and collect the money notary. You actually care about what you're doing, and you're professional in your procedures and making sure that you do things correctly. So I think it's an awesome forum. I think everybody should have a forum like this for those phone calls that they get. Be careful if you're using it in your car. Please pull over.
Pull off to the side.
Before you attempt to start taking down this information. Kim, tell everybody again where they can get this form, and you do have other products as well on that website.
They're on my website, notaryallies.com. That's notaryallies.com. And currently I've got some intake forms for loan signing agents and reverse mortgages. And those are a little bit different in that they have two sides. And on those, the second side has pre-printed documents that are typical in loan signings or in reverse mortgages, where you can, as you're preparing your documents, you can just check off what documents are in that package. So it might say grant deed, and you can check off acknowledgement, and you can check off, there's columns for if you're going to be using a loose certificate, if you're using a certificate from another state. So if the notary certificate was provided and it appeared on its own page, if the name of the document is in the footer of that page, so you've got better records of whether somebody might have pulled your certificate and attached it to another document. So there are some other intake forms that we have, and they're all super handy, and they all make you look really professional, but most of all, they help kind of bring you peace of mind. So there's less on your shoulders and more that's just someplace quick that you can reference and not have to remember where everything is. Or actually, the loan signing ones came in real handy for me when I was registered with several different signing services. And they want you to notify them as soon as the signing is over. And I'd get out and I'd think, oh my gosh, was that on SnapDocs? Was that in email? How was I communicating with these people? And that form gives places so that you can reference what the source of what the platform was that you communicated with them on that. But there's all kinds of information, like where to put tracking numbers. There's all kinds of cool stuff. So be sure to check those out too. Those are on notaryallies.com. And
go ahead and unshare your screen for me for a minute, because we're seeing the document. We're not seeing your face during that.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
There we go.
And if you forget, if you end up going to notaryally.com, that's my personal website for my notary business, but there is a tab for products, and that takes you right to where the products are. So either way will get you there. And we've got a few more things coming up in the works too. So
there you go.
Out every now and then. And the pads right now, they're all under $20, and the prices are on the website. If you buy more than one, they are discounted. So it's like 12% off if you buy two, 25% off if you buy three or more. So check it out. I hope that you enjoy them as much as I do. I know they make a huge difference in my job.
Well, Kim, thank you so much for being here. And guys, I want to tell you that I have her intake forms, and even just the paper weight and the smoothness, the quality of the paper that she puts in to the products that she sells is really a notch above everybody
Thank you
else.
so much.
Kind of enjoy the look and feel of it for sure. Kim, thank you so much for being here. And I know I'm going to ask you back again.
Oh, I appreciate you so much. And thank you so much for all that you do for all of us notaries. And I appreciate you and Notary Stars immensely. Thank you so much.
You are welcome. And I'm sure we'll be seeing Kim again. Thanks for being here, Kim.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.